Welcome back. Now, the latest crime stats paint a very grim picture of how women and children bear the brunt of abuse. Close to 1,000 women were killed in South Africa in just the last 3 months alone, while close to 600 children have lost their lives since April. As the country observes 16 days of activism for no violence against women and children, the focus now shifts on the violence and abuse that children go through. Let's discuss how we can end this cycle of abuse. We're joined by Gugu Xaba from Save the Children. Thank you so much for your time, Gugu. We do appreciate it. I think every time the crime stats come out, I have more and more anxiety because I just cannot believe how women and children continuously bear the brunt, but children are becoming, the number keeps increasing when it comes to children as well. I'm sure you were quite shocked about those statistics.
Yes, definitely. As Save the Children, we are frustrated looking at this data going up on a daily basis, and yet this is one of the most important things that are affecting the country negatively. And that is why, even for the past 10 years, we've been teaching the communities in South Africa that violence should not be tolerated. Because if we do tolerate it, it grows and it gives us the worst of its kind, because you will start with the beatings of children, and then from there, we'll move on to injuring them, and then eventually children can be killed by the people they know the most, which means parents have an ability and are part of the data that we're talking about that are killing children, including the fact that relatives, people that children trust, are the ones that are contributing to malicious harm on children, including the deaths that are happening.
I think that's what makes it even more worrying and depressing, Gugu, is the fact that sometimes communities shy away and don't necessarily want to say anything because they are worried that they might be attacked. But also, often when you hear about these tragic stories, it's a loved one, it's a family member, it's a neighbor, it's a friend. But how do we end this cycle? How do we address those issues to say, as a community, we should be loving and protecting of our children?
Please ask that again. I didn't hear it very well. I think our connection is bad.
I'm asking, how do we end this vicious cycle of children constantly being attacked, especially by neighbors, friends, and loved ones?
Sure. Save the Children has been requesting that at least let's have communities. And when I talk about communities, I'm talking about parents, relatives. This includes ward leaders. This includes faith-based organizations and other leadership in communities, your business community and others. We are saying, let us see the reduction of violence or stopping of violence as a community problem. That one, we must not tolerate. And when we say let's not tolerate violence, we mean let us make sure that as soon as there's for any form of violence, the community must gather and make sure that we are taking responsibility. And we are making sure that the perpetrator is brought to book, which means including parents themselves, they have a responsibility to reduce the amount of violence that is happening in their own homes. Parent against parent violence that children observe, it causes children to think that is the right way of managing violence or managing conflict. So it means within the home, we must actually stop the violence, because that's how children learn within the home. Then from there, communities around, we need to show that we want to stop violence, we want to bring perpetrators to book, and we are working with the justice system to ensure that the people that either kill children or maybe physically abuse children are we take steps on them and we make sure that justice takes its course. So that's one of the things. So Save the Children is actually currently teaching parents how to parent, because we've noticed that parents have an inability to parent properly, which includes providing the appropriate discipline as per the age of the child. And there's multiple strategies that need to be used in order to discipline children, because yes, it's important to discipline, but it's also important to support and also role model what you'd like to see the child doing. So
Sure.
Those are some of the things that Save the Children is talking about.
Yes, just lastly, Gugu, I want to ask you about whether or not you think authorities have failed when it comes to protecting women and children. 16 days of activism for no violence against women and children comes and goes every single year, and it seems as though the situation is getting worse. Do you think authorities have failed? Do you think the police have failed?
No, I don't think they have failed. Instead, government has done a huge amount of work to put systems in place. Yes, we talk about 16 days of activism, but there's work 365 days of the year where we are preventing violence from occurring. So government has not failed. And then that is why I'm mentioning communities need to make their contributions, because government has done the bit that they should do, but now the people that are within homes who are seeing the violence on a daily basis need to make a contribution and make sure that we reduce the violence. Because if you can check the 600 people that you're talking about, over 60% of them is happening within a home by relatives. This says government cannot always control the homes that are in South Africa. So that is why government has done their bit, communities need to do their bit.
Certainly, we all need to work together at the end of the day. Thank you so much for your insights. We do appreciate it.